Black Friday, Cyber Monday is almost upon us. And if you're watching this video, then I'm a little bit concerned, but hopefully after watching this, you'll have a little bit more knowledge to be able to ensure that you leave no stone unturned and you can go ahead and maximize your e-commerce revenues to the best that you can, given the short amount of time that we have left. I will say, whilst it's not ideal planning for BFCM so late into the month or the year, there are still some ways you can ensure you go ahead and maximize your Q4 or Q5, depending on your niche. So let's not waste any more time and get straight into our checklist. Now, before we get into our main checklist, I'm gonna give you some quick fire things that you need to be looking out for and keeping in mind as you approach the big BFCM day and following it. So without further ado, here's our mini checklist before I dive in further on things that you should consider. Now, going into your preparation, you need to first think about the foundations for what success means to your brand and how you go around that, and the strategy and planning. Now, before anything else, you need to set your sales goals. Define exactly what you're aiming for, what you're trying to achieve, your revenue, conversion rates, customer acquisition, returning customers, you name it, define it. Clarity will be your best friend in this scenario. Next, create an offer structure. Will it be a percentage off, a buy one, get one free, a limited time flash sale? Decide so you can start planning on these deals and always have multiple deals ready to go in case conversion rates don't go up exactly how you would have expected it to. Another point here is check on your inventory. You would be surprised by the amount of brands that get to this period and then realize that they're going to run out of stock and can't actually scale to the revenues that they want to scale. So if you can do it at this point, make sure you have enough inventory to run the type of offer that you want to run and make sure that you have pre-planned around it. Now, moving into your content and creative. First things first is start by creating dedicated landing pages for your offers. This will drive a ton of traffic to these pages, and don't forget to plan out an email sequence for these BFCM campaigns, including teasers, the big launch, follow-up emails, and so forth. Ad creatives here are also key, so create engaging visuals on Facebook, for Instagram, for Google, and whatever other platform you're advertising on. The key is to be eye-catching for your brand. And finally, organic social content. Plan posts around all of your platforms to have an omnipresent channel strategy to create hype, excitement, and then be ready for it. Another thing that we don't talk about too much and a lot of brands don't really mention is the tech side of your business. Test your site performance, especially the speed and mobile experience. Slow load times and clunky mobile speeds will cost you sales. Check your payment gateways. Make sure that people from different countries can go ahead and buy. Your discount codes are working and so forth. And also don't forget to set up your abandoned cart recovery emails so that if somebody leaves mid-purchase or doesn't buy, you have some chance to go ahead and get them back. Speaking of sales, this is an important time to make sure that your customer support is ready and prepped. They need to know the details of every offer and discount. How does it go ahead with your return or exchange policies? And if you're using a chatbot or automation, then make sure you've set it up and updated it based on the promotions that you're currently running. The first thing is making sure you have a clear marketing calendar around the occasion. So step one is to review your marketing plan and calendar and then apply that strategy across every touch point that you have with your customer. For example, let's say we're going to be doing a buy one, get one free offer for the week of Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Now, the first thing I will want you to do is see how this correlates with each platform that you have control over. For example, the first step, it's probably the easiest, is your email and SMS. Make sure that your emails and SMS campaigns are in line with your offer, and ideally make sure that the volume is also increased during the sale week, because you have to remember that every brand out there will be spamming their customers with their BFCM promotions, meaning that volume is almost essential to make sure that the emails are seen, heard, and taken action upon. So if you typically send only 2 to 3 campaigns a week, consider sending 4 or even 5. In some cases, brands are even sending out emails every single day or multiple times a day on that week of BFCM and leading up to it or after it. Again, take this number with a grain of salt, but if there's one thing that is certain is that more won't be bad during this week. And if you are a brand doing less than 10 million a year in revenue or even 15, then don't focus on brand image as much as performance, because that is an entirely different ballgame to compete against for the bigger brands out there. Now, following this, make sure that you have all of your ad campaigns and creatives aligned with what you're trying to achieve, and make sure that they're scheduled well ahead of time. Now, for Meta, we already have our pre-BFCM campaigns running as we speak, and as we approach 4 to 7 days before the big day, we typically go ahead and pivot to launching even more campaigns and scheduling more in for the day itself or the weekend of BFCM. Remember, you want to be prepared to overspend your budget and scale back down as needed versus realizing you didn't have enough campaigns or creatives ready and allocated to spend on that weekend or on that day. Platforms like Meta and TikTok or Snapchat can take extra long to review and get your ads live during these busy periods in this busy season, so leaving time at least a few days prior, or ideally 5 to 7 days prior, is never a bad idea. And just as a bonus, another thing that we typically tend to do on the week or the weekend of BFCM is we launch a lot of one-day click campaigns on Meta, campaigns that optimized based on one-day click attribution, as there will be a huge influx of buyers and incentive coming in during that time. So we want to get as much volume spending through as we can without waiting or worrying too much for a campaign to optimize within the typical 7-day period. That's just a bonus one, but it's important to add to the checklist because it's something that does incredibly well during this season. So to summarize that main point, schedule your ads well in advance, at least a few days prior, and simply turn that campaign on when the time is due, or schedule it in automatically. The second point there being, consider having one-day click attribution windows ready on the week to maximize your delivery and volume of spend. It's much easier to scale spending down on budgets versus trying to optimize and scale up, especially during that busy period. And lastly, make sure you have enough of a volume of creative to sustain the spending that you need. Naturally, if you want to 10x what you currently spend, you need to have enough creative to sustain that. Now, we're not big believers in huge amounts of creative either, so don't get fooled into thinking you need millions or hundreds of assets to be able to achieve it. You can double spending simply by putting campaigns in different structures. As a rule of thumb and just general guidance, make sure you have a creative variant for each type of format: images, GIFs, videos, reels, TikTok optimized creatives, and so forth. From there, make sure you have a reasonable amount of good creatives based on the past data that you have on your accounts to supplement it. And given how close we are to the date itself, we recommend taking your best creative and simply slapping on your BFCM promotion onto it in various ways and styles, and use that to scale spending and volume further versus trying to invent something completely new. But it is something to consider for next year, and hopefully you won't be watching this video as close to the big day as you are now. Now let's get into our checklist and timelines before Black Friday, and then also the days around Black Friday. Number one, your BFCM early access or hype. A great way to reward loyal customers is by offering them VIP early access to your deals. This makes them feel special, helps to gauge early interest, and you start getting in some of that early BFCM revenue from your existing customers and squeezing the profits out of those customers. Another way to build hype and urgency: countdown timers. This is something that works across every single brand year on year, and it's something that a lot of brands you will see doing for even decades, because countdown timers create urgency and they induce a sense that this sale is not going to last forever. It's something that we have had a lot of success with, and it's something that we've added to this checklist for brands that are willing to go ahead and try it out if they already haven't. Another point to creating hype before the event: team up with previous influencers you used or affiliates if you still have the time. The more people that talk about your sale, the better. And finally, send out those teaser emails or even ads to get people ready and excited for what's coming up, so that you can make sure you squeeze every single cent and get the juice out of your customers. That moves us on to the BFCM launch day itself. Launch day is here, the moment we've all been waiting for, and here's how to make it count. First up on this list, website optimization. Now, the first things first, take over your homepage. Make sure those deals are impossible to miss. Use pop-ups strategically to upsell, cross-sell, downsell. If a customer is already interested, why not suggest a complimentary product to maximize your revenue? Another point, make sure that your website is mobile optimized. Most people will be shopping on their phones, so it has to be seamless. Speaking of seamless, add to cart timers to boost energy. This can be a nudge for people to complete their purchase before their deal expires. In addition to the big day, we move on to the marketing channels. Just as we did to create hype, send out your launch emails. Blast big, bold and clear call to action emails to your customers, new and existing, and make it super easy for customers to see what's on the sale and click through. Another point, ramp up your retargeting ads. Remind anybody who's browsed your website but didn't buy to come back during this period. It's never a bad idea. And don't forget to go live on social media, share updates, stock updates, stories, and so forth. Be as engaged with your customers as possible so they can see that you are an active brand. Number 4 on this checklist is during Black Friday all the way through Cyber Monday and beyond. Now, the action doesn't stop once Black Friday starts, so let's talk about what we want to be doing during the big weekend and that week. The first point on this list is campaign optimization and monitoring. Monitor everything in real time: site traffic, ad performances, conversion rates, adjust on the go dynamically. And if something isn't working, make sure you go ahead and you change it. Reallocate ad budgets to the best performing platforms, creatives, audiences, and so forth. And use social proof on your ads as an advantage. Display recent purchases on your website, your bestsellers, your reviews. Build trust and reinforce those decisions to really go ahead and maximize. Another point on this checklist is actually customer engagement. You want to be making sure that you're engaging with your customers on social media, responding to comments, making sure that customer service questions are answered as fast as possible, because there are going to be a lot of customers. So be there to help. If possible, extend your customer service hours so that you're available during peak traffic times. And especially if you sell worldwide, ensure that you have a system in place for this, or at least you're more prepared than usual. Now, you finally made it to this point, but it's time to wrap up and make sure that you still know what you need to keep the momentum going. First up, fulfillment and logistics. Process and ship those orders as quickly as possible. A fast turnaround keeps customers happy, and this is the period where you are likely to acquire the biggest cohort of customers for your brand. So make sure you can go ahead and give those customers a positive experience so that your LTV can also subsequently increase over the next couple of months as we progress. Make sure you're sending post-purchase emails with all the updates, tracking, shipping updates. A lot of brands will typically have delays. Make sure you communicate and have that ticked off on your checklist to improve your customer retention. Don't forget follow-up reviews. Send friendly emails asking them to rate your product. This is the best time to get UGC and organic content from your existing customers and feedback. Encourage customers to potentially maybe even join your program or email list if they haven't already for certain segments. Remember, this is the best time to figure out who is your long-term buyer for your brand. So utilize it, leverage it, and double down on it. And finally, dig into the data. Review your sales metrics, your ad performance, your creative performance, your customer acquisition costs. Did you achieve what you wanted? If not, why? Learn from that and utilize that in the next coming weeks after the BFCM weekend or the week. What did you do? What did you not do? And what can be improved for next year? There's no better time to learn for most brands than now. And depending on your brand, you may be lucky enough to keep your BFCM campaigns on for quite a while after the sale. And if brand image is not too much of a concern, consider scaling and pushing your ads further until they might potentially fatigue. But note, this is not a strategy for everybody. In an ideal world, we will leave things on as long as they perform with ads, but given your case, make the call depending on your own revenue targets and goals, as well as brand perception. Now, if you want to learn more about how we decide on the best ways to scale a brand and what to optimize for, make sure you watch our A to Z guide on scaling an e-commerce business here if you haven't already before. And if you want some more specific advice when it comes to ad performance creatives, then make sure you check out our other video up here where we dive deep into all the different ad formats that you should have ready for this BFCM sale period. And that's that. It's a wrap on our Black Friday Cyber Monday checklist video. Now, I know you're coming in close to BFCM, but hopefully this checklist helps you to maximize every opportunity to increase your revenue this season. Now, whether it's optimizing your ad spend, getting those emails out, or making sure your website is ready to handle the rush, every step counts, and making sure that you have some of these things actioned out is never a bad move. Now remember, while it's not ideal to be planning this late in the game, there are still ways to make a big impact with the time left. So follow the checklist, leave no stone unturned, and give it your all this BFCM. And if you're looking for more in-depth tips on how to scale your e-commerce brand, then check out all of our other videos on this channel. Like I said, the A to Z guide on scaling your business with Facebook ads or Google ads. Thank Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe, like this video. We always appreciate when we do. If you have any questions or you weren't sure about anything that we've mentioned, then make sure you leave a comment down below. And if you are a DTC e-commerce brand that's looking to scale but potentially doesn't know which direction to go into, then make sure to reach out. Our team is always ready on standby to give away in-depth audits to help you move in the right direction. My name is Arsalan from AKM. I hope you have a great day and thank you for watching this video.